What's up, crowdfunders? Salvador Briggman here. Welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. And I was to ask you a question. What if you wanted to discover the exact strategy, tactics, all the steps that went into a campaign launch that raised over $1 million? Would you want to discover what's behind the curtain for that kind of campaign? Would you want to discover what's under the hood, right? What's happening behind the scenes for that particular campaign? Because if you do, look no further. That is the exact formula. That's the exact strategy that you're going to get on today's podcast episode. I think you're going to learn a ton. So again, my name is Salvador Briggman, and on this show, since 2015, I have been bringing my A game, bringing on real world examples of entrepreneurs, of creators, of inventors, of businessmen, of people that are actually crushing their crowdfunding campaigns. And the first time that I really kind of put my toes into this industry and really started blogging on CrowdCrux, my blog back in 2012, I had a lot of people in my life that were like, there's no way that someone can raise $1 million, right, online for this campaign using the internet, using social media. What? This has got to be, this can't be real, right? And I really kind of took that to heart. And what I realized was that if I don't share these stories, if I don't share what's happening behind the scenes, you're not going to have access to it, you know? And I think that's one of the most harmful things, because that means that new products are not going to come to light. You're not going to understand the people that went before you and the pitfalls that they had and how to avoid those. And also some of the things they did that actually got results and worked, and how to use those same tricks and tools and how to actually have an impact on your campaign and to do this in a scientific way. That's really what I'm about, is taking this entire industry, which was initially kind of like magical, right? And demystifying it, turning it into a science that you can apply and you can get those results. You can get a product out there into the hands of other people. That's one of the coolest feelings, that other people can actually own your product. You're building a brand from scratch, something that's going to last, a durable brand that people love around the world, and that they actually know your name when they actually see that brand logo. One of the coolest feelings, obviously, when it comes to being a creator or an entrepreneur. So you're going to learn a heck of a lot. I think in today's podcast episode, we're going to be covering a lot when it comes to marketing, when it comes to the video, when it comes to the PR elements of the campaign. I'm really getting into what does it take to do $1 million crowdfunding campaign. If you've also been listening to some of my other shows, thank you so much. And a lot of the times I think that learning this discipline, becoming a student of crowdfunding, is almost necessary in order to have a successful campaign launch. But if you're trying to do anything in life, let's just say you're trying to play a game, like trying to play chess, right? It'd be kind of foolhardy to go in and try to play the game without learning a little bit of strategy first. You're probably not going to do very well, all right? The first time you move the pieces around the board, you're probably going to be beat really easily. But once you actually start to learn a little bit of strategy and actually how to win the game, all of a sudden you start to see moves you didn't even notice. You start to understand what you got to do in order to checkmate your opponent. And I think that's so true in many areas in life. So when it comes to crowdfunding, you got to invest in your education. You got to spend time learning about this. And my goal is to really speed up that process for you, because I know you don't want to become necessarily an expert, right, when it comes to crowdfunding, this whole fundraising nonsense. So that being said, if you do want to learn this in the most efficient manner, I would recommend joining my free course on Kickstarter. So this free course will also talk about Indiegogo. It goes into the nuts and bolts, the mechanics of crowdfunding, as well as some of the tools that you don't know about, some of the strategies which are not discussed publicly, some of the things you can actually do to have a mega effect on your campaign. And I share that for free in my free course. And it's really designed to be a companion almost to this show. So if you want to check that out, go to crowdcrux.com/Kickstarter, upgrade your learning experience, really learn every single week from me in terms of I'm sending you guys emails, I'm getting you warmed up to this. Go check out that course at crowdcrux.com/Kickstarter. Now, in addition, if you're really trying to double down here and you want to sink your teeth in this, and you're like, man, I am hungry, right? I'm hungry to get some results. I'm sick and tired of not getting results and moving my product forward. Like, I really want to take this seriously. If you feel like you're in that stage, you should also pick up the textbook, which is kind of like the companion to this free course. Very low barrier to entry. I think anyone out there can really grab a copy of this, and that is the Kickstarter launch formula. The Kickstarter launch formula has everything that you need in order to launch a successful Kickstarter or Indiegogo campaign, and there are tons of valuable teachings that I've put and embedded into those pages to have a profound impact on your campaign, no matter what category you are launching in. So if you want to get the Audible version, you can actually get a free copy of the Kickstarter launch formula if you sign up for a free 30-day trial of Audible, you can go to crowdcrux.com/Kickstarter audio. That link will take you to Audible, and you can actually grab a copy of the Kickstarter launch formula. That's crowdcrux.com/Kickstarter audio. And finally, if you want to pick up the paperback version, you can go to crowdcrux.com/Kickstarter formula. That's crowdcrux.com/Kickstarter formula. Without further ado, let's dive into this episode and discover how this creator was able to raise over $1 million for his Indiegogo campaign, when it came to this product. Discover all the ins and outs that went into this, as well as I think a very powerful message for anyone out there who is getting started with a new product. And it's coming up right after this. Hey guys, welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. Today we're speaking with a creator who is able to raise over $1 million when it comes to his campaign. This is for Move Plus, which is currently in Indiegogo in demand. And we have one of the creators here on the show. So excited to introduce you to him. Tom, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Salvador. Great to be here. Thanks for having me on, and look forward to getting stuck into this and chatting and seeing what we can uncover.
Definitely, man. Maybe we can get started and just tell listeners a bit about what you've been working on in your product here.
Yeah, sure. So myself and my business partner, Forrest Smith, he's our CEO, and I'm currently wearing the hat of COO. But as we know with all startups, those hats are multiple and varied. So the roles take on all kinds of sprawling legs and arms in order what you need to do to push things over the line. But our product, so we started talking about it about 3 years ago, and we wanted to essentially bring a product to market that was going to add value to people's lives and really, scratch our own itch by and large. And so we brought out a device that uses red light therapy, or photobiomodulation as it's known. And red light therapy has been around for a good few decades now, but it's always in huge machines used in sports physio. So anyone that's done anything like an ACL tear, MCL tear, or any kind of knee damage or elbow damage, often the pro sports people, they'll go into a sports clinic and have these like massive red light pens datted all over their joints. That's essentially what we've done, but we brought it into a home use device. So we are the only LED and laser red light therapy home use device that is on the market currently, designed for home use in joints and neuromuscular. So it's a really cool product, very exciting. Yeah, it is awesome, Salvador. We get a lot of really positive comments and feedback from people, but we can get into that in a minute, I'm sure.
For sure. So for you, first of all, really cool products. What were you doing before you actually got involved with bringing this product to market?
So the last 10, 12 years, I've actually, myself and my brother, set up a film production studio over in Southeast China. So we made films for some of the biggest brands in the world, like HSBC, Audi, Huawei, Under Armour, Amazon, Nike, Sennheiser, some huge brands, and also a lot of music video type productions. But on the back of that, I've really felt like we were making products that helped other people's brands and not build our own brand. So I really wanted to come to market with a physical product that we owned, and we could make videos for our own product. I tried a bunch of different things just to upskill myself and my learning. So I did FBA, Amazon FBA stuff for a little while to test that. Didn't really make it stick. And then I did some Facebook affiliate type marketing, which again, didn't really make it stick. It didn't click. But what was great was all those things I learned from so much. And I was able to apply those learnings in marketing, digital marketing, online messaging into launching the successful campaign that we've had on Indiegogo.
For you, how do you feel like creating your own product is different from doing something like an Amazon FBA? Like, why do you feel like that didn't stick, but this one kind of captured more of your attention?
To be honest with you, it's night and day. Building something that you have thought about, that you really want to bring to market, the brand, the messaging, our vision, our mission is to positively impact the largest number of people in the most meaningful way. That's a huge mission. That's a huge vision. If I'm just simply importing, calculators or bits of plastic from China and putting them onto Amazon and selling them, when those days get hard and you get up against it and challenges come, you got to really dig deep if it's something you're not emotionally attached to. But bringing a product to market that we love, that we've crowd tested it before we even got to Indiegogo, and then we've created a massive community around our brand and our mission has been so rewarding. So that when we do hit the darker days, it's not just you surviving on the dollars. It's you thinking about, well, this is helping people, and it's something I'm passionate about, and I really care. And so I think that's the major difference for me between the two.
When it comes to doing this campaign, you obviously have been working on this with your brother for a while. What was kind of going through your head the night before you went live with your campaign?
So it started out with 4 initial shareholders, which is Forrest, who's our CEO. He's an amazing guy. He's the brains, really. He's spent 10, 12 years in this space of light and LED and technology and health, and he's just very passionate about it. Loves reading the papers. And then myself, my brother Max, and actually my father, who's our CFO. So a bit of a family input on that. But the great thing, the night before was, I'll be honest with you, it was excitement. And it was because we'd done the prep beforehand, we were very confident that, obviously you're never 100% certain, but we were very confident that we'd done a lot of groundwork to make sure that we passed our initial target, which we did within 24 hours. And there's a great company called Enter China that actually helped us on our steps to launch, and we followed their program, and they were a huge help and guiding light of keeping us on rails, because it's really easy when you're doing the product development and all the preparation to try and do a bit of this and try and do a bit of that and never actually just get the traction. And so the night before was exciting. Of course, there's nerves. The morning was nerves. All that first day was nerves, but I think they were calm nerves. They were a certainty of nerves. Yeah.
And when did you really know that this was going to be a big campaign? Because, I mean, you guys definitely hit some big numbers here, and you have a lot of backers when it comes to the campaign. When did you really know that this was going to take off for you?
I think I've actually got my Indiegogo numbers up here as I look at them, and probably around 2 weeks into the campaign. So we created quite a good relationship with Indiegogo in the build up to this. And anyone that's thinking of doing any kind of campaign on whatever platform, we had to do Indiegogo because we were a health product. But I really recommend, spend the time, get to know the people at Indiegogo or Kickstarter, wherever they are on those sites. And I want to say this, but befriend them, but in the way that it's a win-win, and listen to them and take on their suggestions. But for me, it was like, I'm looking now, and it's about day, I think it was about 10 days in or 2 weeks in, and Indiegogo said, oh, we're going to feature you at the top of one of our newsletters. And we were like, oh, wow, we didn't even know that was a thing, really. And we did, on that day, we did just short of $30,000. Wow. And the next day, that trickles on, and the next day was best part of $10,000 on top of that. At that point, when we were still looking to validate things, at that point, it was like, oh my God, this is on. This is really, really exciting. So, that was the moment.
And you see that, and I'm sure you guys are like celebrating right behind the scenes, and that's obviously so cool that you can tell you're helping a lot of people as well, right?
Yeah. What you see, it's just going back to your other question was, and it's a combination of your two questions you've asked, really. What is it about FBA versus this, and then what is it that made us understand when we thought we were actually nailing it? I think I remember getting a message from somebody. I think the lady was called like Helga or something, but from Sweden or Northern Europe, and it said, "Thank you. I've not slept without pain for the last 2 years, and for the first time in those 2 years, the last few nights, I've slept pain-free from using your device." And when you start getting messages from people, the world starts to change, because you're literally helping. And now, if you go onto our Trustpilot, we've got probably up to almost 200 4 and 5 star reviews. Of course, we're getting 1 stars and 2 stars because late shipments occasionally, or product, the strap doesn't work, but you have to fix those. And it's not a problem to get the 1 stars and 2 stars. You need to look at those as opportunities to learn and improve your company. And we normally flip the 1s and 2s up to the 4s and 5s. So huge motivator build.
That's so cool. And I'm sure that's very rewarding, right? It just kind of makes you want to even like charge on and get this to more people. One of the things you mentioned was the fact that all of this was kind of based on building a strong foundation. Do you think you could kind of shed some light on that and what you did to really help validate the product?
Yeah, absolutely. So part of our initial program was that myself and my partner Forrest, we wanted to speak to 100 people when we were prototyping, before we were even doing any prototyping really, just to understand what was the pains, the actual literal pains of the people that were going to use this product. So we had to set up an ad campaign that basically found people that wanted to jump on a call with us and talk to us about what kind of knee pain have they had, what kind of joint pains have they have, what's their circumstances they're going through. And so for example, I remember clearly speaking to this lovely lady, a single mum with 2 children, very active as a family. She used to be a dancer of 20 years. She was in her early 40s and she had really bad knee pain, but her children wanted to keep playing basketball. So by speaking to her and understanding her points, we were able to bring that back into messaging of our communication, our target audience, and we then sectored out 3 points of target for our messaging.
So it sounds like talking to your users ahead of time, talking to your customers and really understanding who they are, their problems, that's what can really make your campaign much more powerful.
I would hesitate to say, unless you do that, you're just gearing yourself up for, a massive uphill battle. And actually, yeah, it's a bit of effort to begin with. You're always too busy to do these things. But really, when you get on with those people and speak with them, it's so uplifting emotionally anyway for you in what you're doing, but also usable afterwards in the content that you use and you give to people.
Got it. So make sure that you're in touch with your customers. Did anything else go into kind of building that strong foundation so that you felt really confident the night before you were going live?
Yeah. So the other really, really cool thing that we did was we started a Facebook community. And within that community, we created a Facebook group. We started inviting everybody. So everyone we spoke to in those early days, everyone that was remotely interested in listening to us about joint pain or knee pain, we sent them to that Facebook group and we built that community. So when we went live on Facebook, I think at that point, I can't remember the exact numbers, but we definitely had a few hundred people. But remember, they were a few hundred niche exactly people that were exactly interested in exactly what we were launching. So that was already a big motivator. We also had a lot of hard work on getting a database of email addresses. So, people often think, well, what's the numbers for that? I can't remember exactly, but the basic numbers was it ended up costing us $1 for each email address that we collected. Now, I don't know if that's a good thing or if it's an expensive or it's cheap. I don't know. But for us, it was brilliant because what it meant was that we ended up with, a good few thousand email addresses, which were, again, exactly niche pain points for what we were offering, because we knew, if someone has a clipboard and they want to stick more papers in it and the Indiegogo campaign has a good slip, that's great. And there's a purpose for all these Indiegogo campaigns or crowdfunding campaigns. For us, we were dealing with people's literal pain points.
Yeah.
Some people have been in pain for 10 years and 15 years. So when we spoke with them, we spoke to their hearts and we spoke to their literal pain points. So creating Facebook group, creating email database, and then getting on calls was the 3 core things that we did. And I personally invited, over the next period after that, welcomed over 1,000 people into our Facebook group with a personal message to each and every one of them. Okay, it's pre-written and structured and things, but it was tailored, Dear John, Dear Jenny, Dear Chris, and reference back to our landing page on the campaign to create that ecosystem.
That's so powerful. And I do think that you're kind of almost building a relationship, right? At the same point that you're doing that. And I can see why, over time, people are going to believe as well your mission and that you really do care, right? When it comes to their pain point. If you're worried about the fulfillment and shipping part of your Kickstarter campaign when it comes to getting out all those perks and rewards to your backers, rest assured I've put together a complete Kickstarter fulfillment and shipping checklist for you, and it's free. This is sponsored by the folks at Fulfillrite, and they thought that you should have this checklist as part of your arsenal going into a crowdfunding campaign. If you want to get instant access to this checklist, and it's free, you can go to fulfillrite.com/checklist. Again, that is fulfillrite.com/checklist, fulfillrite.com/checklist. Just go to that link and you can download it immediately. One of the other common questions I get a lot is like, "Hey Sal, I don't know if I'm ready to go live. I've done all this work. Am I, a lot of people are perfectionistic. When do you feel like you are just kind of spinning the wheels and you're never going to get it perfect versus, done is better than perfect? When do you feel like that period is for you?"
Well, you've just nailed it. Done is better than perfect. That was our mantra that we worked throughout the whole campaign. And it was really hard because obviously there's certain things that I'm more passionate or skilled at or care about more. There's certain things that Forrest care about more. There's certain things that Max cares about more. And everyone wants to have their bit perfect and their bit absolutely spot on. But we work with the team we work with is Enter China. I recommend whoever it is that's going to launch their campaign, speak with somebody like yourself, Salvador, or whoever it is that's close to them. Speak with somebody and work with them to execute a campaign that somebody else has already done and they get it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be perfect. You have to get it up, get going, iterate it. Whatever you do today, in a month, in 6 months, in 12 months, it will change. It will be different. Probably the most important things you could probably do that might not change is maybe your mission or your vision, and having that clearly defined, certainly for, at least for the first year, would be really, really worthwhile. But the core of perfection is you're missing it. If you're going into crowdfunding wanting it to be perfect, you're kind of almost missing the whole goal of crowdfunding anyway. And just to add to that is, we had a whole series of things that we did not add into our product, and we wanted to do things like an app, loads of different things like that. Mm-hmm. The audience, your crowd, your community, they're going to tell you, once you get going with this, they're going to tell you what they want. And if you give 1,000 people what they want, there's going to be 10,000 other people that want that. Whereas if you give them what you want, yeah, you might be right. And maybe there is people that want that, but you don't know it for certain. So that's the other aspect of developing your product and developing what you're doing. So, for example, we were actually called Revive to begin with. We had to change. We got a cease and desist in the US. Yeah. And we were also called Revive Knee Plus. But we changed our name from Knee Plus to Move Plus. But when we changed to Move Plus, we crowdsourced that name. We said, look, here's 5 names we're thinking. What do you guys think? Or give us a 6th that you recommend.
Yeah.
And Move Plus was the winner. So we just went with it. So that's another great thing.
That's awesome, man. And obviously you're rolling with the punches there. And I think you're doing such incredible work when it comes to selecting the right features, right, to include in the product. As I've just been listening to you, I think that one other question that I've really been wondering, and I think that you are perfectly positioned to answer this, is that you have a strong background when it comes to film and production and video. Do you have any thoughts for people out there in the audience who are just kind of getting started with this, in producing a video that gets people engaged and gets them wanting to take action, buying or owning a product? Do you have any hallmarks of things you usually include in a video pitch when it comes to your work?
Yeah, I think the challenge with video or anything creative is budget. Everyone goes back to budget. So what I'd say is, you've got access to some really good video makers in areas, things like Upwork or Fiverr. So if you don't have a budget or it's very low, don't freak out. Like just be chilled. Go and find someone that can edit well and go down that route. If you are launching a product and you want it to be a good campaign, like, I guess $50,000 or more, $100,000 or more, you do have to have a semi-budget for video making. But here's what I'd say is, always, and this is my experience of 10 years making films and videos for other companies and all sorts, is always go more simple and high quality and less content in there. So you're better to make a 90-second, simple but high quality video than trying to have graphics and all the ideas and all the points in there. So strip your messaging back to maybe 3 points, maybe 5 points maximum. And if you can't script write, either learn to script write, there's YouTube videos teaching everyone, or just go to, there's AI now, you could just put it into there and a video script for AI, but go to Upwork, go to Fiverr and say, look, can you just help me with this for a script? This is what I'm thinking. But don't worry about, again, one thing with the quality is you can film on iPhones now. You really can. Mm-hmm. The one area what is my biggest tip of more than anything is audio quality. You must get the right audio quality, because we've all watched those dodgy DVDs where the visual is not great, but the sound is perfect, and you'll watch the whole hour and a half of it. But if you get, perfect image and not good audio, you're going to sit and watch it for like a minute or two at the most.
I'm so guilty of that.
So,
yeah. I mean,
that's it.
I think that's right on. And I do think as well, the simplicity, because we have so many things that are just trying to grab our attention, right? Having something that's really simple, easy to understand, something that a video that people can get through, it's going to maximize that emotional impact, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It really is. No, you're on point.
Yeah. So I mean, just looking at your campaign page, first of all, coming away from that, it looks so well done. It looks like you have a really great product. What did this mean to you at the end of the day when you finally closed off this campaign? You had a big, splash with this. What did this mean for you personally when it comes to your journey?
So, just before I answer that, one thing to mention that, because I think it's a great point, is when you look at the perfect, done is better than perfect. What some people do is look at our campaign page, and I know there's loads of things in there that we got to improve and we want to improve. And every time we look at it, we go, "Oh, I can't believe we've still got that there." That is probably our 8th or 10th version, or maybe more, of that campaign page. And the first one that we did was not pretty, and we've done many landing pages as well. So please remember, get something that works and keep moving, keep failing forward, is one of the key bits and tips that I can give on all these things. So what this means to me, our campaign is still running an in-demand phase with Indiegogo, and that's been brilliant to have that. We're at 100, what's that, 1,115,000 at the moment, and we're still going. We're still
that's
selling.
Mind-boggling. Yeah,
it really is. Considering that I can't believe it. And we have a Shopify store as well, which is partners with it. And some people say don't do Shopify store alongside Indiegogo. That is absolutely true for the first part of crowdfunding, but maybe after 3 or 6 months, once you feel a bit more calm with things, you can add that in. But the fact that we've pre-sold and sold that many units is phenomenal, and we're helping people. And again, going back to the mission, is if you get your right mission that really suits you, that cream at the top where you get that emotional
high,
thanks to yourself, it's really cool. And I can't phrase enough for us as the partners. We genuinely want to help people through their pain. We all had knee pain. We suffered with that. We all played high level sports, and that's not needed anymore. So yeah, it's great.
So
cool.
I just have one or two more questions for you. The first is that you have done so much research, right? When it comes to figuring this out, failing forward, like you said, is there anything that, originally you thought to be true and you found out that it wasn't the case? Like any kind of myths that you discovered when it comes to crowdfunding or when it comes to doing this kind of raise?
There's nothing that's kind of like a major fallout for me, but I think one of the key things is every campaign's different. Like every business is different, like every founder and passion is different. And I think that having the right partners who are going to go digging trenches with you is really key. And don't worry to change. If you think it's right and it needs to be changed, change it. People gave us advice, you should do this or you shouldn't do that. And sometimes we just felt, well, that's a great framework for us, but we've also been doing our research for the last 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 2 years. And we feel that this is a calculated risk that we're prepared to take. And you test the water, and then if get the sense that it's working, turn it on, double down on it, and just go for it. And I think that's one of the key things where we've had success, if you like, is by recognizing that and just making that decision. And
love it.
The other aspect of that is good people, is work with people you want to work with people you like, and you can do more things with them because you will create a much more powerful bond and connection with them if you do.
The last question I have for you is, when it comes to the campaign, you've had so many testimonies, obviously, but you also have had a great number of media mentions. I think media and PR is just like this big mysterious box that not a lot of beginning founders or creators know about. Do you have any thoughts on that, on getting onto these PR or outlets or getting media publications to notice you?
Yes, I do. So we've learned a little bit the hard way with some of this. So PR is one of those things that it's quite tricky because you can't track it as well to see the input that it's having on the bigger sense of it. We've unfortunately spent and wasted a reasonable amount of money quite early on, which looking back we shouldn't have done. And we were advised not to do. That was one against what I just said before. We got a sense we thought it was the right thing, and we did it, and it wasn't. But that's not. But that's in the moment. The ROI on that exact money we spent didn't give us. But what we learned from that was huge, and that's allowed us to go forward and make massive decisions on other things that actually have been beneficial to us. So I think that's the key. Is if you make a decision, if it doesn't go right, just make the learnings, and then therefore it has gone right because you can add value to it. But getting PR that can give you an ROI reasonably quickly, alongside PR that is maybe a bit more of a a hit or miss.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And if you've got any, if you know people that are in PR and they can give you good tips and help, then that is always going to help you, and that's always going to be a real positive. It sounds obvious to say that, but you're fighting so many fronts when you're launching a business. You got your product, you got your marketing, you got your finance, you're juggling the business, the team, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
it's overwhelming. It is, and it's just niche it in. If you've got PR, if you know people in PR, or you're passionate about it, or there's some aspect you love, do it. If you don't, take a step back, focus on the other areas. It will come around to you, and people will target you. People will outreach to you and connect with you if you're doing a good job at what you're doing and you really care about what you're doing.
Awesome. Well said. Where can people go to learn more about your product, your journey? Where can they learn more after this episode?
Well, obviously Indiegogo. If you just search for Kineon or Move Plus or type in knee pain, you'll find us on Indiegogo. I really recommend just starting with that because the campaign is worth looking at the page and just checking it out. Obviously, if you've got any joint pain or anything like that, Salvador, I'd love to give your listeners some discount or community discount. So afterwards, maybe we can get a code for that. So if we do that, maybe just make it in the show notes or however you do it.
Okay.
And then also go to our website, which is kineon.io.
Awesome. My final question for you is, speaking directly to the listeners, we can end on this note. You can either end with a quote that you resonate with or you like. You can end with a bit of advice that someone has given to you that's, really impacted you in the past. You could end with a final tip about crowdfunding or just a word of encouragement, to other inventors and creators that are out there.
Yeah, okay, thank you. That's really cool. I think the core message is don't stop. If you believe in it enough, just don't stop. And the quote that I always used to phrase quite a lot, it's about luck, and luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And if you are prepared and you do the work and you take the things that don't work and make them into learnings, you will be prepared, and those opportunities do come along. And that's when later in life people say, oh, you're so lucky. Of course at the time that would happen. Oh, you're so lucky. But they don't see all that preparation. They don't see all that failure and struggle and the late nights, the early mornings, the juggling, and they don't need to see that. That's your journey. That's your story. So just do something you care about, do something you're passionate about. You don't have to do it forever, but make that luck your luck and own it.
Well said. Tom, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it and look forward to your remaining days in demand and also any future launches you got here in the works.
You're a star. Thank you so much, Salvador. Thanks to all your community for listening. Take your time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. My name is Salvador Briggman. Thank you for spending a little bit of time here with me today. And I hope that it was really a mind-opening experience hearing about how this individual was able to do $1 million crowdfunding campaign. And hopefully it also took some of the guesswork out of launching a new campaign. Some of the hard-won wisdom, right, that this guest shared. I really hope that you kind of sink that in and hope that you really take action on that, right? You actually do something with this inside information that you don't just like kind of let it sink there, but you actually really do something with it. That would be my biggest wish for you. And if you're ready to kind of, make the next step in actually making a campaign a reality, first of all, you definitely should sign up for my free course again at crowdcrux.com/Kickstarter. These are freshly minted crowdfunding teachings, tactics, a wealth of information when it comes to actually launching a new crowdfunding campaign. Think of this as completely packed with value, and you're getting it all for free at the link at crowdcrux.com/Kickstarter. But in addition, if you're really looking to kind of upgrade this entire experience and you really want to do this in a faster manner, you really want to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with the right people, that you know exactly what you got to do for your individual product, for your individual category, and you're kind of, I guess, fed up with just poking around and trying to figure this out. And maybe you've been thinking about this product idea for many years, right? And you're finally ready to get something out there. If that sounds like you, I really think that you would enjoy investing in an individual coaching session with me. So these are individual coaching calls where I go A to Z in terms of everything that you have to do in order to have a powerful launch, a launch that actually gets results, a launch that actually is going to have an impact on your brand, whether it's building a new brand from scratch or taking an existing brand that you already have and doing a campaign for it. Whatever it is, we talk a lot about Indiegogo campaigns, Kickstarter campaigns, equity crowdfunding campaigns, raising capital. And if that sounds like something that you think you would benefit from, go and check out and book an individual coaching call with me. And you can get that call scheduled ASAP. Just go to the link I'm about to mention, and you can book an intensive coaching call with Sal. That link is crowdcrux.com/coaching. Again, that link is crowdcrux.com/coaching, crowdcrux.com/coaching. And a lot of people that I actually end up doing calls with, a lot of my students, right, go on to launch very successful campaigns, and they're almost blown away. They are astonished by the amount of value that I deliver in these coaching calls. And that's because really it's meant to be a one-off, super packed with value kind of a call where you walk away from that call not only with confidence, but also armed with tons of action items, things that you can actually do to move this project forward. And as well, I will end up working with a selective number of students or on an execution angle with certain campaigns if it's a good match. But I hope that, first of all, that you really enjoyed this podcast, that you took away a lot of value when it comes to this show. And also, if you have been a listener, even listening to some of my other shows, or maybe my YouTube channel, or you've read one of my books maybe, or you read some of my blog posts that I put out there on crowdcrux.com, if you really benefited in any way and you want other people to know this is worth their time, if you want to, have this really good positive ecosystem when it comes to crowdfunding and make sure that other people are successful as well, please take a second to leave me a positive rating and review on iTunes. It would mean so much to me, and I think it's really a great testament as well to the value that you've received from this free podcast and some of the other content that I put out there. Again, you can go to that on iTunes, you can leave that on Spotify, or if you're listening to this on YouTube, you can just give me a thumbs up and leave a positive comment down below and make my day. Love getting those comments from you guys. Thank you so much. My name is Salvador Briggman. Take some action this week. Really buckle down, focus on this process, move the ball up the hill, up the court, and I hope to also hear from you as well when it comes to my blog, crowdcrux.com. So go and check out some of my other episodes. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Sal, and I will see you next time.